windows opened onto a much greener plain than Mrs. McKenna's. My mother was so wonderful with nature. Our garden was divine in sight, scent, and colour. Immediately after the French windows of leaded diamonds lay old worn patio slabs, grey remnants of before our arrival at 102 Southfield Road. Dad and Uncle Someone had to spend weeks cutting down the thick wilderness. Grass was so high that they were submerged by them. An urban oasis of wildlife. Foxes had lived there with badgers and hedgehogs, but now it was a tamed wild beauty. A long, uniform, summer green lawn stretched beyond the patio like a blanket of purity, lined either side by luscious aromatic flower beds of sunshine daffodils and the colours of the rainbow and primroses framed by old railway sleepers. Creepers grew elegantly up the garden walls to trellises of honeysuckle and ivy. Halfway down the garden, 2 large frames of trellis bloomed with crimson red roses and thorns and smaller white flowers. They stood like open gates, leading me through to the concrete compost container, upon which I would climb to look over the end fence onto the train tracks below that ran behind our house. There was only a small space to watch through, as Dad's big old wooden tool shed overtook the remaining length of the back fence, filling to the right-hand corner of this Eden. It was there, just in front of the tool shed, behind the right trellis gate, that I formed my love of butterflies. There stood the silver frame of my beloved swing, the electric blue ropes that hung and held a citric orange seat. It faced my favourite part of Mother's creation, the wild garden, a small patch of towering purple foxgloves and delicate snowdrops, giant daisies, thick nettles and prickly green briars. As I swung back and forth, I would fly gradually higher, higher than the fence at my side. My feet would dangle above the wilderness and pause before I would fall back down to rise again. When I flew free above my favourite part in summer, white butterflies and the occasional one of orange and black would swarm up with me and disappear over the fence, or up into the sun until the backs of my eyes stung and I couldn't see them anymore. How I longed to fly with them, to soar up and away in peaceful, silent freedom. It was summertime when we left London for good. The cold grey of a city without light dissolved into the back of my brain as I faced the luscious green fields and vibrant wilderness of my new home, Ireland. It felt glorious that summer, mornings awakened by the cool sea breeze of Bantry Bay, or the clip-clop sound of horse and carriage on scenic route to town past the old house in Slane. We travelled the coast consumed by our own adventure. We were a separate, safe entity, consisting only of the red forge, blankets and pillows, snacks and each other, just the 4 of us. Mum, Dad, my sister and I, free like the wind that woke me. Every few days we arrived in a new world. My sister and I crept outside at dawn to chase frogs in the overgrown grass of the Kerry Gardens, dressed only in our nighties and great shining red welly boots. We learned how to round up and milk cows with my mother's family in Skibbereen, and felt there for the first time the rough and slimy texture of a baby calf's tongue. We climbed and foraged, heard the distinctive sound of wild sheep and goats, and saw the unforgettable sight of wild white horses galloping at sunset. School came in the autumn, and brought with it the misplaced prejudices of children too young to understand why, but they hated the English. It began with light crowds of curious country children, shouting words for me to say, school, football, laughing at the way my A's and E's and O's sounded. But the crowds soon became gangs, rife with mixed-up fantasies about saving their country from my Cromwellian settling. I played alone on the small wall that encompassed the yard, walking its edge all along the green, and at small break, when the sun was low enough to warm one side of my face, my shadow walked beside me. They poked and pushed, pulled and grabbed. They wanted me to fall from my wall, but that was where it felt safest. The days are getting darker now. The night is lasting longer. The colours are fading fast. Age and place changed, but the alienation continued. The anger in the faces of Pierce's unwanted cults, the excuse to hate and hurt. I lost my smile to the taunts and cackles of young men and women hunting in packs, hunting the English runt. Beautiful Ireland quickly lost its light, and I began to write. Songs of sadness, melodies of melancholy, piano pieces of pain. I was still drowning in London's name. Taunts take hold of your soul. You lose any love of self. You feel insignificant, inappropriate, invisible, and then the beatings begin. Word spread like the guerrilla wars, and soon news of my disposition had reached the burning ears of a girl in need of revenge. Abandoned by her English mother, she had turned to hard drugs and a harder fist. She had assaulted police, strangers, but she needed more. She needed to destroy the face of her mother that sat behind her eyes and haunted her both in sleep and in wake. She found me at a school function. With a girl from my class, she circled me, spitting and pulsing with rage. Bored, lusting teenagers quickly surrounded us, in time to watch my face crumble at the force of the first blow. My neck cracked loudly as the girl behind me grabbed hold of my long ponytail and pulled my head back, arching my spine. I could no longer see the girl in front and stood motionless as she punched and kicked my body. I felt the blood trickle down my shins from where the skin split under her boots. My thighs blackened almost immediately from the force of her knees. Her nails tore chunks of pink skin from my face, and my head throbbed with the tension of pulled hair that eventually broke and came away in her hands with bits of my bleeding scalp. I don't remember how I got free, but I remember hiding, shivering in a blackened doorway with icy violent rain stinging the cuts on my lips and legs as I waited for someone to find me. A neighbour drove me to their house where my parents gasped and cooed at my broken, bleeding body. There were no words. I stayed silent, sat by the fire and wrote of how I longed to die. They thought England was my home, but it had tortured me as much as them. I am not English, and they will not allow me to be Irish. I am not his toy, and I am not their doll. I am not. I am not. There is nothing. I feel nothing. I am nothing. It is the end of words, the end of feelings, the end of me. My body is a scarred and ugly thing, bleeding the tears that no longer fall from my numb eyes. There is no sound. They say my father sits in a chair at the foot of my coffin bed. They say I rise each night, scream and cry, urinate and fall back to medicated sleep. They say I have not moved, not eaten, not lived, not spoken in 18 months. My mind is broken as is my soul. It flickers like a spoiled tape, with moments, screams, smashing glass and broken razor blades. There is just one picture that stays with me, repeating, losing colour and flashing vivid. It is the field behind my house, a great open space of dying grass, and at its centre a glorious gaping tree, its sparseness reflected by empty branches against the rolling clouds of a deep purple sky. Branches, sky, dead grass, and the remains of a tired swing, hanging, swaying, waiting. I used to sit there with those clouds rolling above us, the tree and I, the rope and I, just us three, and I could sit and stay, or I could leave forever. Flash. The scorching summer sun beams its rays upon a vibrant grassy green. Streamers of red, yellow, orange, green, pink and purple wave in the warm air against a breathtaking baby blue sky. Laughter and music fills the ears of a crowd, while the scent of fresh baked bread, sugared candy sauce and buttered popcorn lingers long enough to be tasted in the back of their throats. People dance, friends stand in circles, lovers embrace, and children play at the feet of their doting parents. Happiness is the colours of the rainbow, smiles of those faces. The waves of laughter intertwined with music, and the smell on the breeze of spices mixed with sugar. I watch from my own space, a parallel world of grey. I long to reach the colours and the smiles, the smells and the sounds, but I am alone in my darkness. A fear resides that my presence amongst the others will only drive their colours away, and a deep sadness consumes me as I watch and yearn. They may call for me, but I cannot pass from my world to theirs, from darkness to light. I am lost where I cannot be found. Flash. The crowded space becomes a dark and desolate wasteland. The breeze increases to an icy wind, and the sweet smell of sugar turns to rancid, rotting wood and the damp scent of coming rain. Smoke blurs my vision. My cheeks burn and my hair flops to my face. Black clouds rub together in a magenta sky until with a crack of thunder they burst into falling words. Hundreds of yellow pages whirl and float to an eventual resting place upon the earth as I pick up the first. My life has become a poem. My road, my pathway ends here, for I have met my future and I have faced my past. The screens, the buildings, the maps have all gone, each replaced with sonnet or song, pages and pages of rhythm and rhyme. The result of all these crimes, I am. The falling words, the reigning truth, writing is what I do. So I just have a few points about the sense of sound in writing. Just what I wrote here is I have quite a few different reactions when I'm asked to consider the sense of sound or in terms or hearing or in terms of sound in writing. From a very personal place, it conjures not so happy childhood memories of the sound of my voice being a real issue in my search for belonging and an identity. But it could be said that amongst other things, this struggle made me the writer I am today. Secondly, from my studies of poetry in particular, my approach would be to explain and discuss the importance of sound in writing. One remark that is frequently passed about my own writing is that it possesses a musical quality or movement that comes naturally due to my being a musician. But this is a skill that I believe can be easily developed with a few simple hints, which I'm going to drop now. Using repeated consonant sounds speeds up a piece of writing, and it also creates a beat for for example, Derry the drummer drank his drink and drummed a merry tune. The constant use of the words beginning with D create the effect. Similarly, repeating using vowel sounds slows down a piece. Open and under and over and in, outwards and further to where we begin. You can see it's impossible to say this line too fast, and so you naturally slow down and accent the vowels. Perhaps my unconscious favourite is the repeated use of the S sound or sibilant. This is a brilliant sound for creating movement, and also for use when describing the sea or the wind, as it almost sounds like what you're describing, and therefore creates a lasting impression. We've all heard of the seashells on the seashore. Lastly, the use of rhyme is a wonderful way to create music in writing and can cause a nursery rhyme-like quality. You can really experiment with these tips. Use slow lines for sad sentiments, fast ones for happiness or nerves, and you'll eventually see the sound of your piece echoing its meaning. This is where it becomes really powerful. A poem that I've written recently, which I feel represents these repetitions, is Inishbofin, written about the island of same name off the coast of Galway while on a writing trip there in July. So I'll just read you that. Inishbofin. Rocks peep through blades of green, blades sway in salt and breeze, breeze sweeps down dusty roads, roads run to stony slopes, slopes slide to shores of sand, sand slides to sprays of sea as the sun's rays hit like falling diamonds. Sea splashes and swallows sand, sand plumps and melts and floats, slopes slip and climb to roads, roads wind against the winds, winds whip and drown the green, blades shake and stick to rock as the raindrops hit like falling glass. One thing that I urge you to always remember is a quote from my favourite poet, W.B. Yeats. I write for the ear and not for the eyes. As well as writing with sound, there is of course the option of writing about sound. I find that when I'm at my most vulnerable, or even experiencing a little, dare I say it, writer's block, I find it extremely helpful to engage each of my senses and write exactly what I see, hear, smell, touch and taste at that particular moment. I do this a lot when experiencing heartache or sadness of another kind, as I've noticed that filling your thoughts up with all the little things your senses pick up that you might not normally have noticed, leaves less empty space for the negative thoughts to take over. An example of this is a poem that I wrote recently after the breakup of a long-term relationship, and it's called The Linger. The hum and of the coffee machine, the buzz of early morning traffic, American, Polish, Irish, the whir of air conditioning, the thump of the coffee filter before it enters the machine, the clink of teaspoons stirring in tea and coffee cups, cutlery tapping on plates. Talk rises and falls like a symphony, a burst of loud laughter intervenes, and like a dialogue, various giggles from all over ensue. Thump. The shout of directions, orders made, a phone rings and businessmen speak low and deep. Thump. The soft close of a hinged door, the pour of coffee beans like rain. Thump, thump. The jingle of change and slam of tills, the engine of a passing truck and another. The laughter gets overexcited and coughs, as amidst it all an early busker pierces the city with a haunting violin. A melody that follows me home, to the occasional gentle pop of pipes heating beneath floors, the whisper and scratch of my eyelashes quivering on the pillow, and the exploding ring of silence bursting in the tiny space of an eardrum. Finally, being a singer, songwriter, violinist, sound and writing definitely go hand in hand for me. It's interesting, my cousin is a renowned musician, and when he hears songs, he hears the music, the bass line, the beat, all the instruments, and judges its quality based on that. When I hear a song, it's all about the lyrics. Oh Baby Baby doesn't interest me in the slightest, but Come On Skinny Love just lasts a year breaks my heart. Music and words are emotional for me. At their best, they are original and stunning. So I would definitely say to anyone who wants to write songs, don't be cliché. Don't ever use the typical or the obvious to describe your feeling. Find an image or a metaphor that steals the moment. A song that is simple and yet stark with its lyrics is Tracy Chapman's Behind the Wall. Can you give it a shot? Last night I heard the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me. It won't do no good to call the police. Always come late if they come at all. And when they arrive, they say they can't interfere with the domestic affairs between a man and his wife. And as they walk out the door, the tears well up in her eyes. Last night I heard the screaming, then a silence that chilled my soul. Prayed said I was dreaming when I saw the ambulance in the road, and the policeman said, I'm here to keep the peace, and when the crowd dispersed, I think we all could use some sleep. Last night I heard the screaming, loud voices behind the wall. Another sleepless night for me. It won't do no good to call the police. Always come late if they come at all. I was lucky enough to do some recording with Jerry Cott a few years ago, who's a member of the Boomtown Rats, and he gave a little tip that stuck with me. He said that the best-selling songs almost always have a short, 4-line, simple, memorable chorus. Many say also that you should start with that chorus to draw the listener in, and then proceed with your 2 or so verses and a middle section where the melody changes before lashing out a last great chorus. I don't believe in absolute rules for writing or composing, but I hope that these few ideas, together with listening to your own personal beats and filling up those senses, you can write something that's both musical and magical to you. Another song that I love for its lyrics is this next song. It's the last song. It's one that I found recently. It was actually a rap. It's a modern song. I'm not going to rap. It was a rap, and I liked the chorus of it, so I investigated it a bit more, and the girl who sings the chorus actually had her own original song before the rap was put in. And it's all about having the voice to change a nation, but being too scared to speak up or to put your opinion across. And I think it's about the importance of the individual and writing and putting your stamp on the world and not being afraid to. That's why I like it. So, drink after all that.